What's up? It's been a hot minute since I've been on here and made a YouTube video. So I'm not going to get into too much chit-chatting and try to make some excuses on why I haven't been on YouTube in a really long time. I've just been doing life, honestly, and it just got the best of me. So I decided to come back and film a very easy tutorial on how to make your makeup look like skin and how to get a really nice even complexion. I get questions asked all the time how I get such a nice complexion on my makeup, and honestly it's really not that hard. I just have a few tips and tricks up my sleeve that I personally use on a daily basis. So without further ado, let's get on with the tutorial. Alright, so we're going to jump right into the whole preparing our skin before applying our foundations. I feel like this is the most crucial part of the whole makeup application in my opinion. I actually prep my skin pretty heavily. I like to have a really nice even complexion. I like my skin to be super hydrated. That way my makeup looks flawless and seamless. So that's my secret to having a really nice even complexion. So let's just jump right in and go through all the products that I like to prep my skin with. Say hi, baby. Say hi. Alright, so first step is I like to actually go through and wipe down my face with a really nice hydrating toner. This kind of just helps get rid of any oils or moisturizer that I have in my skin and just kind of hydrate the skin right before we apply anything else. I typically use any kind of toner that I have around, but for today's video I'm going to be using the Wet n Wild Rose Toner. So I like to do with this is just spray this onto a little cotton swab, just really saturate it really nicely. And just wipe down the whole face. So next up, we're gonna go ahead and spray some fixing spray onto our skin. It's like a setting spray, or you can use like a Fix Plus. The reason being is because it really hydrates the skin, kind of preps the skin nicely, and leaves the skin a little bit tacky. So when you do apply your foundation, it really grabs onto the skin. For today's makeup setting spray that I'm using is the Makeup Fixing Mist by Pixi Beauty. I absolutely love this stuff, especially when I set my whole face at the end of my makeup application. It melts everything together, super hydrating. I can't live without this stuff. It does have rose water and green tea, which is probably why it's so hydrating. So while I'm letting that seep into the skin, I'm gonna go ahead and apply a moisturizer. I am obsessed with this moisturizer. I use it so much that I'm actually almost out of it already. And it's the Pixi Beauty Rose Ceramide Cream. Super hydrating. It's like amazing, and I have no words to describe how great it is. I use this on the daily. It also leaves the skin a little bit tacky, I noticed, and the foundation just loves to sit on top of it. It does say intensive moisturizer, so that's probably why my makeup always looks so flawless when I wear this stuff. And I have some pretty dry skin sometimes. I'm kind of like a combo. I get oily and dry, but I feel like the reason why I get oily is because my skin is not hydrated enough, and this stuff saves my life. You also want to make sure you hydrate under your eyes really well, so that way the concealer sits nice and beautifully and doesn't crease as much and doesn't look cakey and dry. Okay, last but not least, we're gonna go ahead and apply a primer. When I look for a primer, I try to find something very hydrating. Duh. And my ultimate favorite primer or hydrating primer is by Mercier, and this is the foundation primer, and it's the hydrating version. I'm obsessed with this. I go through this so quickly, and it feels really, really good when you're applying it to the skin. It's kind of like a moisturizer consistency, which I really like. Makes the application very nice and even. Okay, after prepping the skin, my hands are a little bit tacky and sticky, which I kind of find a good thing, because if it's going to be tacky on your skin, then the foundation is going to sit really well on top of that. So those are my 4 products that I like to prep my skin. So I first tone, put on like a good fixing mist on my skin, and then I moisturize, and then I prime. 4 steps, but at the end of it all, I promise you it's worth it. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to foundation now. For foundation, I feel like if you prep your skin really well beforehand, you can almost use any foundation, make it look really nice. I personally love how the Too Faced Born This Way foundation looks on my skin after prepping really nicely. It gives my skin a really nice matte finish, but it also does such a nice full coverage. For me, how I personally love to use this foundation is by following the phrase less is more. It's so true, because the less you put on, the better the complexion. I usually love to apply less foundation and a little bit more concealer. So for today's look, we are going to be doing less foundation and a little bit more of the concealer. So I'm going to go ahead, grab my foundation and just use a damp beauty blender to apply this and blend it out. Alright, so the foundation is applied. Very minimum. It's pretty full coverage for the very small amount that I did apply. For concealer today, I am going to be using the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. I am in the shade Vanilla. I love this concealer. Very full coverage, so I do go a little bit heavier on the concealer. So I'll conceal right under the eyes and just other areas where I want to hide more blemishes or redness or any of that good stuff. And then right before I blend everything out, I am going to take my Pixi Beauty Fixing Mist, spray down my beauty blender a little bit more, and then just blend out the concealer. Alright, so I went ahead and set my whole face off camera just because I don't really do anything special. I literally just set my under eyes and pretty much my entire face just so it doesn't get oily. I don't really do necessarily too much baking, just kind of set everything in place. And for my setting powder today, I did use the Too Faced Peach Perfect Mattifying Powder. Let me tell you, this stuff will keep you matte all day long. At least for me it does. I notice when I do wear makeup, I do get a little oily, so this stuff will keep me matte all day long and I'm obsessed with it. I go through it so quick. So after setting the whole entire face, we're gonna go ahead and move on to bronzing and then blush and highlight, which is all my favorite part because it all ties everything so nicely together. And for today's bronzer, I am gonna be using the MAC Give Me Sun. I haven't used this bronzer in so long, but it's a really good bronzer. I love it. So typically when I apply bronzer, I go quite heavy with my bronzer, but I do have a little trick that really softens everything up, which I will show you guys right after I'm done applying. Alright, so I did go pretty heavy with my bronzing, but don't you worry, we're gonna fix that right up. So I go ahead, take my Mercier blending brush. It looks like they're a bronzer brush that they have, but this is a smaller miniature version of it. This brush is literally my lifesaver when it comes to blending out my bronzer. So pretty much what I do is take it and I blend out using in circular motions, and it makes everything look nice and seamless. So we have a few more steps left. We're gonna go ahead and do some blush. I always use blush no matter what. I feel like it totally ties the whole look together. I don't know how people like to do their makeup without doing any blush. I feel like it really brings some color to the skin and to your face, and it makes it look a little bit more natural. So we're gonna go ahead and do some blush. For today's blush, I am going to be using a Mercier brand, and this is in the shade Chai. I believe that's how you pronounce it, but it's this really nice rosy shade. I am going to be using my Smashbox Buildable Cheek Brush. I love this brush because it's really fluffy and it doesn't apply it too harsh. It makes it look very soft and very blended. So I take a very little amount and just kind of apply it on the apples of my cheeks and blend it into my contour slash bronzed cheeks. I also love to apply some blush onto my nose because I feel like we naturally have some color on our nose too. A lot of people don't prefer this, but I love it. I feel like it really makes your complexion look really nice. And that is it. I don't go too much with it, just a little bit of color does the trick. Last but not least, my favorite part is the highlighter. I am obsessed with highlighter. I always put a ton of highlighter on my skin, but I feel like it makes my skin look so nice and dewy. For today's highlighter, I am going to be using the Becca in Champagne Pop, one of my ultimate favorite highlighters as well. I have been using the Morphe Cosmetics highlighter, which is probably my top favorite, but this comes in second for sure. I have been using the Morphe Cosmetics highlighter for way too long now, so I did want to change it up a little bit. So we're gonna go ahead and apply this. Before I do apply my highlighter, I like to spray my skin with some Fix Plus Fixing Mist. We are gonna go ahead and do that right now. Whew. So I do drench my skin in it because I like all the powders to kind of melt, but I wait for it to almost be dry and then I go ahead and apply my highlighter. I forgot how much I love this highlighter. It looks so freaking good. And voila, this is how the highlighter looks. I'm totally digging it. So that is it for my base. I'm gonna quickly finish my brows and lips off camera and I'll be right back. All right, you guys, and that wraps it up for this tutorial. I hope you guys learned a few tips and tricks and put them in your pocket for next time when you sit down and do your own makeup. If you guys did enjoy this video, please give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to comment down below on what other videos you guys want me to do next. Please hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on my further videos. And like I always say, I'll see you guys in my next video.